Hello, my name is Jack Gorman. I am one of the law librarians. I'm here today to show you some underlying concepts in Word that you may or may not be familiar with. You may have a basic a sense that these tools are out there, but don't necessarily know how you can apply them to your own workflow in your legal writing. But hopefully you'll see that once you start using them, they should make things go faster especially when you're doing formatting. They should make things a lot more uniform, and they're going to help create some navigation points that will make it easier both for you and your readers to read your documents. And I'm also going to try to show you a few features that might address some common weird, annoying things that come up in Word. So yeah, the main thing that we're going to be looking at is how to use styles in Word. Styles are really a really fundamental concept in how Microsoft Word functions. It is something that is applied across everything that's in a document, but you might not necessarily interact with it on its own terms. But once you see how to use styles, I think you'll see their power. So I think rather than talk about them in the abstract, I'm just going to show you what a style looks like in practice, and then we'll kind of start going through how to actually manipulate them a little bit. So what I have here is a document that uses the structure of a memo that I wrote for a legal writing class, but it doesn't have any special formatting applied to it, other than the default style has some indentations set up. So for all the body text, there's some random Latin words. And then I have these headings that aren't formatted any different from the normal body text. I've just labeled them as what heading level they should be, just for my own reference when I work on this. So you have probably been told by your instructors that it's important to apply headings to your documents. They help you, the reader, understand what the flow of your argument is going to be. They also help you when you're writing your document to get a sense of what the flow of your argument is going to be for yourself, especially if you kind of start writing an outline and then use that outline as the basis for your headings. So that also means that some sections are going to be underneath other sections. Some sections support a broader argument for a larger section. All of these things can be reflected in how you use styles and headings in Word. Okay, so let's say I wanted to make my top level heading. I have a few different headings here that I know are going to be my top level heading. My table of contents, my question presented section, just a section for the argument altogether. And let's say I want this to be bolded, I want it to be underlined, maybe make it a little bit larger, make it in the center of the Word document. Get rid of that level 1 thing. But now I have to apply that to everything that I know is going to be level 1. So I'm going to go back. I have to center it. I have to make it larger again. This is how you would format everything if you weren't using styles. You can see this is inefficient. It takes some time, and you have to apply it the same across everything that's going to share that same trait, and you might mess that up. So I'm going to hit Control-Z to undo all of that. But let's actually apply a style instead. So if you look at if you're in the Home tab of Word, towards the very top and center, the biggest feature of the UI in Word is this style gallery. Now, this is not every style that's available in Word. It's just the ones that are most commonly used. So I just put my cursor in one of these top level headings, and I click heading 1. And all of a sudden, all of these different formatting rules are applied at the same time. And I could do this to all the different level 1s. As a matter of fact, I'm going to select multiple level 1 headings at the same time. And I do that by holding Control and then double clicking those paragraphs. Actually, triple clicking to get the whole paragraph. Then I hit level 1. And now all of these have the proper heading level applied to it. And I can do this to heading level 2. And I'm going to do this to a few headings here just because it's going to be, I want to work with some document with a bit of structure to it for some of the things we'll be looking at later. All right, so I've applied some of these headings to my document. Hopefully you can see how that can be faster than formatting everything manually. Now, you might not actually like what these headings look like. And I should say that I'm working in a document that I've already customized some of these styles. By default, you're probably looking at a styles that don't really look like something that you expect for legal arguments. It's probably going to be in like blue fonts or everything is sent to the left. You will need to do some modification of these styles to get them looking how you want them to look and how it might be best appropriate for the different type of legal document that you're writing. So how do you actually modify these styles? One way is going through the style gallery, selecting the one you want to modify. You right click and choose modify. Intuitive enough, I suppose. So what you have here is the top level modify style menu. And it presents you with some of the most common formatting features that you might want to manipulate, like centering, the font, bolding, underline, blah, blah, blah. And in the lower left corner, you can get all the rest of the formatting features that aren't on this menu, the things that are a little bit deeper down. For example, the font or paragraph, where you can change things like the indentation rules or line spacing. And let's say that we don't actually want this to be all caps. We want it to be small caps for the top level heading. I'm going to select small caps, and since those two are mutually exclusive, you select one, it unselects the other. I'm going to click OK. And now everything that has the heading 1 style applied to it changes at once. So you can quickly change a lot of things in your document in one go. Another thing you can do, another way you can change some formatting across everything in one style. So I'm going to select a little bit of text. And let's say that I want to change the font for the body text. And I should note that the body text has the normal style applied to it. Like I said before, everything in Word has a style applied to it. There's no unstyled text. And of course, by default, it has the normal style applied to it. So that's going to be the thing that seems the least styled, but it's also a style you can manipulate. All right, so back to what I was saying. So I selected some text, and let's say I just kind of formatted it in the standard way, which is just using the Home tab and say, just change it to Times New Roman, good old Times New Roman. So this is a little bit different from the text surrounding it. It has a different font, but I have selected everything that has Times New Roman. Then I right-click the normal style and I select Update Normal to match selection. So I'm updating the normal style set to have the same formatting rules of the text that I've highlighted. Click that, changes everything that has the normal style. It also changes the headings. Many styles inherit formatting rules from a different style. This is going to be by default the case that the headings inherit things like the font from the normal font. So when you change the normal font, you end up changing those things in some of the headings. So be aware of that. You might need to go back and change. If you change one thing, you might need to go back and change a couple other things. They interact with each other in ways you don't always anticipate, but understanding that fact should help you address issues as they arise. All right, so this is showing you how styles make formatting faster and more uniform, but they also structure your documents. When I started applying these styles, you may have noticed this navigation pane showed up. So let me show you how to pull that up. Before I applied the styles, this would have been, so I went to the View tab and then Navigation pane. Before those styles applied, this would have been empty. But now that I have these headings on there, Word now thinks of this as the basic structure of this document. And it's reflecting the kind of, the hierarchy of the headings with the way that these are tabbed over. The top level ones are to the left, the lower level ones are to the right. So this, the navigation pane, it's useful for you to, get to different parts of your document. And if you write outlines like I do, very heavily using heading levels, it can be really useful for when you're studying with your outlines to jump to different rules in your outline. But I'm also showing that just kind of show you how the Word documents are structured with headings. Maybe I'll just show you also the outline view. Now, I'm actually going to start a new document just to keep this simple. Let me pull up the outline view. Oftentimes when I'm writing out an argument, I'll start in the outline view, and I'll put like introduction, argument, element 1, pro, con, element 2, and I was hitting tab and shift tab to move to higher and lower levels in this view. And then now I'm using like the default style set, which it's not as useful for this type of purpose. But if I change the style set to something like this, it kind of shows how that outline works. So that's another way you can work with headings by default, is the outline view. So maybe try messing with that. But the actual maybe most tangible way that you would end up using these navigation elements in your document is automatically creating a table of contents based on your headings. So I'm going to delete this thing that says table of contents, because I'm going to end up having a heading that will say that itself. And then I'm going to go to references, and to the left there, table of contents. I'm going to create this automatic table of contents. I'm going to use table 2. And now we have all of our headings, and the pages that those headings appear on show up in this table of contents. I don't have to go through and manually look up the headings names and the pages they're on. It's all set up for me. However, you might not like how this looks. It's not exactly how I like it to look. But we can fix that because, like I said before, everything in Word has styles attached to it. And if it's something that the program made automatically, it might have some special styles. In this case, I'm going to go to the, if you don't see the style that you're looking for in the gallery, at least in Windows, I'm not 100% sure if it's the same in Mac. There's a little button at the bottom right of the style gallery. Hopefully it's the same in the Mac version. If you click that, you will see a lot more of the styles. Technically, it's not all of them, but it's most ones you should expect to be interested in using. And I know from experience that these actually have the table of contents styles applied to them. So table of contents 1 would be the top level one, level 2 would be the next level. Now, I don't really like how this text wraps around and then goes underneath the enumeration. I want to change that. So I'm going to modify table of contents 2. I'm going to go to paragraph. I'm going to go to the indentation. What's going on is it has the first line being indented, but what I want to use the hanging indentation. I'm going to change the inches down to 3. I know this from messing around with this by experience. You might have to do a little trial and error to figure the best look out. I hit OK. And then heading level 2 now has, it's indented in the way that I want. I can do the same thing for level 3. And of course, you could change all kinds of other font things about that. Now also, this table of contents header, which has the table of contents heading style, I want it to look like this. So what I could do is I'm going to select that word questions presented. Then I'm going to go into the table of contents header. And like I did earlier, I'm going to update that to match selection. And now it looks like heading level 1. Now, one other thing to point out here is that if you change the text of your headings and you want your table of contents to reflect that, let's just say I only have one issue in this argument somehow. I'm going to change that to question singular presented. I don't know, arbitrary, but that's what I want to show you. Then I click into the table of contents, then update table, I'm gonna update the entire table. Now, and it changed the text down to question presented. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this table of contents entry for the table of contents. A little redundant, but okay. You know, I can do that, and it's, there we go. There we go. So we have these styles. We have multiple of them. This is a style set. And you can see that Word keeps track of different style sets under the Design tab. So now we have another gallery here. This is all the different style sets. And I showed you this earlier. I could click on a different style set, and it's going to completely reformat my document. Because Word thinks of, think of it this way. Word has the text of your document, and it has different styles applied to each one. It doesn't necessarily like apply the formatting rules. It just says, this is heading 1. What are the rules for heading 1? I'm going to look at the style set. I'm going to undo that again, because I want to go back to where I was before. The style set that you've been that you've been working in is going to be on the left-hand side of the style set gallery. It's called this document's style set. All right, obvious enough. To save that, to make sure that it's available to you and other times that you're using Word, right-click it, hit Save, and note the folder that it's saving into. Then you can save this as, I'm saving this as demo style set. And now this appears in my style gallery. Let me open up a new document, and there it is. It's now available to me in other whenever I open up Word. It's not going to be the default one, but it will be an option. And I could choose set as default. I'm not going to do that, but that's where you can do that, the set as default button. And then, like I said, note down where that folder is, because if you want to carry this across to a different file or to a different computer, you could take that file, open it up in another computer. It's going to be a Word template file. You open it up in another computer. It will then make that style available to that computer, or at least that user on that computer in the future.